tokusatsu, taking the form of many shows including Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes. And today, a group of fans come together to review it for you as Toku Secrets.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Toku Secrets podcast presented by AnimeSecrets.org. I am your host, Nathan Nassau. And today, after many obstacles and among other things, we are finally returning to our samurai journey, where today we are going to take a look at Shinkenger Acts 22 through 33. And of course, we are not taking this journey alone. I am Nathan Desai, Shinken Silver, and we have two other samurai here with us. So go ahead and say, hey guys.
Hey, so I'm Rizwan Shinken Black, and I'm joined by...
And I am Shinken Green. Anthony, nice to meet you guys.
Unfortunately, our other samurai, Patrick, can't make it with us. Can't make it with us today here. But he will hopefully be back for the next one. Just dealing with some personal issues. We wish him the best on that.
He better be back. He has to hear my hot takes on the hot garbage.
Oh my god.
All right, so we got a lot to cover because you may have noticed we're covering like 11 or 12 episodes here. A lot of things are going to happen in all of these episodes, so we're going to jump in. We're going to give a brief recap on what happened with the episodes we reviewed last time, though. So in the Shinkenger section, to cut a long story short, there was a two-parter where it was revealed that Takeru, Shinken Red, has a secret power that can seal away Dokoku, the leader of the Ghetto Shu. At the end of that two-parter, the Shinkengers were able to combine Dai Tenku with their Shinkano to form Tenku Shikano. A couple of episodes later, there was a sushi seller named Genta Umemori, who was a childhood friend of Takeru that has created his own electronic Mojikara and has become Shinken Gold and joined the Shinkengers. Genta has the Ika origami, squid, for non-Japanese speakers, which he received from Takeru. He created his own ebi, or lobster origami, which transforms into its own warrior mode, Dakayo. And when we last left off with the Shinkengers, it was basically a brief crossover with Kamen Rider Decade and Kamen Rider D-End when those two unknowingly entered their world, and they assisted them battling against a monster wielding D-End's powers. Then Riz, Anthony, and I finished our journey with Decade and threw a celebration because we don't have to deal with that hot mess anymore.
It was not fun.
And here we are. We're back to Shinkenger. So, like I said, we got a lot to cover here. So let's jump in. I'll just give brief talks on the episodes. There's a couple of multi-part episodes here, like two-parters, so we'll comment on the plots as they go on, and we'll give commentary. The first episode that we're covering is called Lord Butler, which is a filler episode that is revolving around Kotoha, Shinken Yellow. In this episode, one of Genta's regular customers, Yoshi, he's this rich kid that is constantly having women chase after him, so they, to try and get engaged to him because, they want his money and everything. And he wants the women to stop chasing after him, so Genta comes up with a scheme where he has Kotoha pose as this rich girl, and Takeru is acting as her butler, and, Kotoha is supposed to pretend to be his fiance so that the women will stop trying to pursue him. Unfortunately, the Yoshi actually ends up falling in love with Kotoha for real because Kotoha is not like the other women. She's, more of a, everyday person compared to his high-class rich person attitude. Kotoha, meanwhile, feels guilty because she's forcing Takeru to act as her servant for the ruse because Kotoha really looks up to Takeru. Yoshi falls in love with Takeru. falls in love with Kotoha, and the ghetto shoe of the day, I can't remember his name, is feeding off of his love, to kind of all threatening to kill him. So Kotoha pretends to be this stuck up rich girl by slapping Takeru and criticizing him, which causes Yoshi to lose his love for her. He frees him for the Ghetto Shoe's grip, and then the Shinkengers defeat the Ghetto Shoe of the day, and the episode ends with Yoshi leaving Kotoha, and there being hints that Kotoha has a thing for Takeru. Pretty standard filler episode, but I think Anthony and I are curious about what Riz has to say about this episode, because before we started recording, Riz said he really liked this, so I'd like for you to just take the floor, Riz.
Yeah, to my shock, I was like, "What?"
Man, y'all put me on the spot here. Okay, so this episode, I liked it because first, I like Kotoha a lot as a character. She's a great character. Anytime you can get a lot of time with her on the screen, it's a win for me. But that's not the only win I've seen in this episode. So before this review began, I told Anthony and Nathan I liked Lord Butler as an episode quite a bit, and Anthony's response immediately was, "I know why," in that snarky, know-it-all voice, and I'm like, "Oh, really? Do you?" Because I don't think you do. And he's like, "Yeah, because you like seeing Takeru get hit around a lot and get slapped." I'm like, that's actually not why I liked it. However, I will say it was fun to watch. I liked seeing him get slapped, but that wasn't why I liked the episode. The reason I like this episode is because finally, after 21 episodes of Takeru being hot garbage, he finally thinks about somebody that's not Takeru, and he's finally not selfish. He literally tells Kotoha, "Hey, you can't think about me all the time. You have to do what feels right to you, and you don't owe me anything. You don't have to consult me on every little thing." And that, when I was watching the episode, at first it felt out of character for him because I'm not used to him doing this. I'm not used to him being considerate. I'm not used to him being amicable with his teammates. Normally, they're not teammates. He's the Lord. They're the retainers, and he kind of keeps a distance from them. But in the subtle body language you see throughout the episode with him and Kotoha, you can see a fondness for members of his team, which is not something you really see a lot of prior to this episode. I mean, you see it really sporadically, but his character development took a major hit, in my opinion, during the decade crossover. He kind of devolved back to being less of a team player, less reliant on his team. So it's refreshing to see for like him. What I'm hoping at this point, as of watching episode 22, that this is the beginning of him growing up and realizing that his teammates are not just his vassals, but they're also his comrades, maybe his friends. I mean, if we want to go that way, I mean, they don't have to be friends, but obviously, when you have a Sentai team or a Power Ranger team, it kind of helps when the team is all friends with each other. It just gives a better dynamic, in my opinion. So Takeru has grown a bit here. I love the character development. It's really subtle. So it's more organic to me in that aspect. It's not forced. It's not a sudden thing like, oh look, Takeru in this one scene has done something. But throughout the entire episode, you can see Takeru kind of showing a bit of compassion, and he didn't act like complete hot garbage. So, yay.
That's pretty interesting, actually. I didn't really look at it like that. Yeah.
How did you look at it?
No. I mean, I thought it was a great episode. I just, I didn't see, I didn't catch on to that subtle character development like you. So,
Well,
yeah, that's pretty neat.
I have Takeru under a huge magnifying glass right now because
Well, that explains it.
you guys professed him to be a really good red, and up until right now, in my opinion, he's still mediocre. Like, this one episode does not make him a great red. It makes him an okay red. It makes him a red that I can get along with, but it's baby steps to me.
So what would it take for you to be like, wow, like he actually like he's growing on me. Like what would it take?
Consistency. If this carries on throughout the rest of the episodes, and he continues to show he can be a true red. And okay, so let's talk about that for a second. What defines, in your two opinions, a true red?
That's actually a good question.
Because
Yeah,
if you look at Sentai, if you look across Sentai, you're gonna see a lot of different kind of reds. You're gonna see the marvelous stoic badass. You're gonna see the hot garbage that is Ninja Red, who is utterly irredeemable. You're gonna see the happy-go-lucky Daigo and Kyorazer, but who can also get serious when he wants to. And you're gonna see the calm, collected, what was his name? And Ziozer?
Yamato.
Yamato is another fantastic red to me, but these reds all have different traits. But in my opinion, if you may, there's a red standard that I think the reds to be measured against. And in my opinion, that standard is you are a natural born leader. You understand the role given to you by wearing the color red. Or in the case of Zenkaiser, white, I guess. Whatever. You are courageous, but not reckless. You're willing to put yourself in danger for others, but you're also collected enough to think of yourself and others with varying degrees of compassion. So, for example, one thing about Marvelous that I loved about him is that he always tried to sacrifice himself for his team. He was always there for them in his own way. He may have been a jerk in the way he comes off, but end of the day, when it came down to it, he cared for his team. And that was his family, and he wanted to make sure that his team, while they were fighting valiantly, that no harm came to them. And with Takeru up until now, yeah, he had some sporadic development where, yeah, he got along with a character for a little bit, but then he devolved back and started beating on Chiaki again. But here, he's demonstrating he has compassion for his team. And that's a big trait for a red. He's shown throughout that he can be a leader because he thinks about the threat and he thinks about how to assess it and how to deal with it. So he had that trait of, being analytical and being a leader, but Takeru was very much lacking in the personality department. To put him over the edge to become really great, to me, the things he still has to prove is consistently being compassionate for the team, more involved with what's going on. Like, yeah, he has this deep secret that he's not telling them that he can, take out crap. The guy's name escapes me for a second. It's Yamatsara Dokuku. Like he knows how to steal that power. But he should be able to tell his team about it and they should be able to discuss it and at least know this is a thing. But he's holding a lot of secrets. Like I know from watching Samurai, there's a major secret coming up if they follow Samurai. Well, okay, Samurai follows Shinkenger as closely as I think it does. That things like that should not be left from your team. That's not being a team player. That's hiding some responsibility there.
Well, it might work a little bit more in Shinkenger, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, but so I mean, do you agree with my assessment of what makes a true red?
I do agree with that. I think the main reason why Takeru might be popular for some people is because you have to understand that, with some of the Reds that came out before, like, we had two really, okay, I like both of these Reds, but they're both not exactly my ideal Reds. Like, Geki Red, okay, Geki Red isn't bad, but
No.
Isn't he goofy?
yeah, but he's a goofball. I definitely prefer his Power Rangers counterpart to him.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Go on Red, I love him, but he's also kind of a ditz. He's funny, I like him, but not an ideal Red. And even if we look past Takeru, the next Red is going to be Alata from Gosager, who I'm just going to say, if Takaharu didn't exist, I would probably say that he's the most annoying Red
For me,
Sentai Ranger.
he was boring for me. He just didn't do anything for
Yeah.
me.
So I think
That's the thing with Alata, is that he's not notable for doing anything important.
so. Like when you put Takeru up against like the two people in front of him, and then the person behind him, he just seems much more amazing because he's so different from those other Reds.
Yeah.
Right, but if you look beyond that, Marvelous, Go Buster Red's also good red.
Yeah,
And
Hero
then
Man's pretty
Pink.
good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at the three that came after him, because I don't even count Ghost Season as a real season, in my opinion. It was that bad.
I guess I'm just like I don't know. I mean, Takeru is not my favorite Red Sentai Ranger. Mine would probably be. I mean, it would probably be Red Hawk from Jetman, but I'm just gonna have to see what your opinion is on him next time.
Yeah,
But
but I mean, like, the thing is, Takeru right now is where Zaito is for me from Dino Fury. Zaito is not an incredible red. Zaito is just, you can't get a feel for him. Like, he's kind of not well developed. But where Takeru has the knowledge and the leadership to really hammer home how to take care of Dokuko and his people, Zaito didn't have as much of that, but he has the teamwork and the personality to get along with his teammates, which makes him a decent red. So both reds have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
You know, my personal opinion is that Zaito is nowhere even near like the top 10. He's like probably edging into top 15, probably, I think. But Takeru right now, it's still really early. There's still a lot he could do here to
and you still
become
have to see
great.
more Sentai.
Exactly. There's a lot of Sentai I haven't seen, but what I have seen, I've seen a good bit here and there. You know, I haven't watched all the full seasons, but of the newer stuff, I've seen most of it. At least in pieces and bits here and there. And he has potential. He really does. But his personality just grated on me a lot in the early episodes. And so, seeing him take this step forward with Kotaha, that's an important step. And I'm glad we took this time to kind of talk about that character development here, because I want to give props where props are due, right? Like, I don't want to just be constantly harping and saying, "Oh, hot garbage," because I don't truly want to be doing that. But in my estimate, it's my duty to call him hot garbage when he has been hot garbage because I'm giving my honest opinion then. So
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. But I think this is he's done good here, and I think I'm excited to see where we go with the next episode or two. So, Anthony, if you have anything you want to say here, or Nate, please feel free. I kind of went off for a good bit there on this, much
Oh
longer
no,
than I
you're good.
expected.
What I was gonna say was that like I pretty much like knew that Takeru was just gonna be like, hey, Kozuha, it's fine. Like, yeah, I understand that I'm the Lord and all that. I think for me, I think he doesn't like the role of being a Lord all that much. I've noticed throughout the most of the episodes, he's kind of like he feels like he's been burdened with this responsibility. He's just like, I don't want these people like to try to. Because I remember in the episode where when they meet Juzo for the first time, and they fought that Gadoshu that pretty much injured all four of the Shinkengers because they were trying to protect Takeru because of the whole ceiling Mochikawa thing, and like he just was like, why are these people? Why are these people trying to sacrifice themselves the same? They're acting as if I'm this grand savior now, and they're treating me like with care more care than before. Was they're not thinking about themselves, trying to fight alongside me. I don't want them to fight for me. I want them to fight alongside me. And so that in this episode, Takeru is just basically like, you don't have to just go by how you feel. You don't have to take my advice or go with what I want. Have your own opinions. I think that's why he kind of like Chiaki a little bit more because Chiaki kind of challenges him a little bit. Like I mean, sure he does, hit him from time to time, but I think it's only because he's trying to like, I guess, get he's trying to make Chiaki better than what he already is. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying
Well,
to, I guess, test
I
him in a way.
I think it goes two ways here, Anthony. I think he's trying to test Chiaki, but Chiaki is also trying to bring the best out of him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really look back, Chiaki is the only one consistently saying, "Bro, you're hot garbage. Do better and be better."
Yeah.
Like that's his thing. He's always trying to tell Takeru when he's wrong. He doesn't believe in the vassal and the lord thing where, oh no, I can never tell the lord anything. And yeah, I definitely what you said about Takeru not wanting to roll. There's a scene in a later episode that we're going to cover tonight where that's really driven home hard. And we're going to talk about it in detail when we get there. And sorry, I cut you off again. Go ahead.
No, you're good, you're good. But honestly, I did like this episode, and I also like the fact that like Kotaha, I really do appreciate her, and that dude, as much as how I guess sweet and I guess maybe Yoshi was a good person, whatever, but Kotaha deserves way better than any dude that tries to date her. I'm sorry, like no dude is worthy of her, in my personal
No,
opinion.
Yeah,
no,
that's
absolutely not.
absolutely true.
Honestly, I think the same is true for Mako at this point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Mako and Kotaha are they're really strong female Sentai compared to like other females that I've seen in other seasons. Like, I'm kind of I'm edging towards saying of the female Sentai Rangers that I know, that they're probably at the very top in the top three.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as of right now, I mean they do better at like emotional tugging of the strings than most of the females I've seen in later seasons.
I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Nathan, do you have anything you want to add?
No, it was a pretty standard filler episode. I did love seeing Kotoha pretend to be a spoiled brat at the end because she's not, and she's not doing a really good job at it. But
Dude,
it's kind of cute to
I
see her
will
try to
say,
do that.
I did laugh a lot when she started doing it. But at the same time, I was like, dude, this is a big brain move she pulled here.
Yeah, that was really smart.
Like, this is something that I didn't expect from Kotaha.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really impressed with that.
Do we have anything more on this episode? We spent a
Nope,
little
move
bit of
on.
time talking about this one, but
Move on before I say
okay.
anything more.
Yeah.
All right, next up we get a two-part episode. One of the first big ones. This is a debut of something. We'll get to that in a second. So the first part is Act 24, the rampaging ghetto shoe. Act 23, I'm sorry. So as this episode begins, first of all, we're seeing that Dokoku has, more power. That's that's erupting from his body, which is causing him to become more feral and angry. While the Shinkengers are battling some giant Nanashi, we discover that the Sanzu river water is starting to flood into the human world, and which is a result of the ghetto shoe power increasing. So G decides that the Shinkengers need to get a new weapon from the Tengen Gate. No, Tengen Shrine. It was called the Tengen Gate in Power Ranger Samurai. I'm sorry about that. The Tengen Shrine called an Enrou, which is like a black box. Shitari, he is one of the other villains. He was Octaru, this squid-like villain. He recruits a ghetto shoe called Gozu Nagumo. We're just going to call him Gozu for the remainder of the recap. He's this like scorpion arachnid ghetto shoe. He comes up with a plan where he wants to kill Dokoku by finding out about the sealing symbols. So while the Shinkengers are at the Tengen Shrine to obtain the Enromaru, so a couple of things happen. First of all, we see some flashbacks when Takeru is paying his respects to the graves of the previous Shiba head clans. We find out that there is a warrior who fell 200 years ago, and this is very important because we're going to find out more about that. There was a warrior who fell 200 years ago, and he was killed by the ghetto shoe, and nobody wanted to bury him anywhere else, so they allowed him to be buried at the Tengen Shrine. The ghetto shoe attacked the Tengen Shrine just as they're receiving the Enrou. Takeru is made unconscious because Shitari put some paralyzing potion in his tea, and while the other Shinkengers are trying to fight off the ghetto shoe, they get defeated by Gozu. Genta attempts to save Takeru. He does stop Shitari from taking Takeru away so that they can find out about the sealing symbol. But then Juuzou shows up. Juuzou was previously seen eating Genta's sushi and enjoying it. The episode ends with Gozu pretty much knocking out all of the Shinkengers except Takeru, and Genta and Juuzou takes Takeru to an unknown location. This then moves on to the second part, Act 24, the true samurai combination. As the episode begins, G gives Genta the Enrou. It's revealed that the Enrou has the ability to combine all the powers of the Shinkenger's origami, and because Genta has such a vast knowledge of Mochikara and his electronic Mochikara, he's able to unlock its full potential. Most of the episode, we get a little bit of a flashback. Takeru is revived by Juuzou by putting him into the sacred waters of a lake that cures Ghetto Shoe's poison. Takeru is curious why Juuzou wants to battle him, and in a flashback, it's revealed that 200 years ago, and Juuzou was this savage warrior who just loved to, fight and kill people because, he's just crazy. Which led him to becoming corrupt and turning into the human Ghetto Shu that he is now. Which Takeru then realizes that he is the one that's buried at the Tengen Shrine. And Juuzou wants to battle so that he can satisfy his appetite for battle and rest in peace. While this is happening, Genta is able to continue working on the Enrou and transforms it into a new, kind of like a morpher device. It's called the Enromaru. That's what it's going to be called for the rest of the series. The other Shinken, and he's able to complete it by creating a new disc made from the discs of the other Shinkengers. Juuzou, meanwhile, claims that he wants to battle Takeru because he feels that they're not much different, which, since they're both very unconventional in their means of samurai. But before they can fight, Genta arrives and takes Takeru away, and for the rest of the episode, what happens is that the Shinkengers arrive to battle against Gozu once again. Genta arrives with the completed Enromaru, and the Enromaru allows the Shinkengers to unlock a new power-up mode, which is just called Super Mode. The Shinkengers get this white sleeveless two-tailed coat with shoulder pads over it. And now it should be noted, only one Shinkenger can access this at a time. So all five of them can't do it at the same time, which kind of sucks a little bit. I think this is the first time that a power-up mode has been like this in Super Sentai. But I guess it kind of makes sense. They attach the Enromaru to the back of their Shinkenmaru, and it just enhances their powers. Takeru transforms into Shinken Red, Super Shinken Red, pardon me, and defeats Gozu. Then, when the Gozu enlarges to his giant form, we're also introduced to these new foot soldiers here called Sakamatas, I believe they're called, which are these big, mouth-like foot soldiers that just shoot lasers. They were called Spitfangs in Power Ranger Samurai.
They kind of resemble dragon-looking things.
Yeah. But anyway, the Enromaru comes with another power, which, with the ability to combine, you can probably guess based on what G said, because the Enromaru combines the power of the origami. This allows the Shinkengers to combine their origami, so we get a couple of combinations. So the first, the Shinkengers can combine Shinkeno with Genta's Dakaio to form Dakai Shinkeno, which, despite being a samurai-themed series, looks a lot like a cowboy. I'm not gonna lie, because, I don't know, it's got the big, it's got a hat on that looks like a cowboy hat, and those little silver things that are, visible on the thighs. It's part of the Ebi Origami's tail, but they attach to the Megazord to its thighs. It looks like silver things that a cowboy wears on his pants. So it looks more like a cowboy than a samurai to me, but that's just me. They can also combine the Ika origami with Dai Tinku to form a cannon called the Ika Tinku Buster, which is pretty cool. I really like that. And they use these two combinations to defeat Gozu. And the episode ends with Takeru visiting Juuzou's grave, and he remembers what Juuzou said to him before the Shinkengers get together and they decide to make sushi, and that's how it ends. So, I think the big takeaway from this episode is Juuzou's backstory, which is A lot different from his Power Rangers counterpart story, that's definitely for sure. A little bit of a weird fact about this episode when it was adapted into Samurai. So, when Samurai adapted this episode, they actually cut out the Super Mode debut because they wanted to introduce Super Samurai mode for Super Samurai, and they still had a few episodes before that happened. So they filmed this original footage of Gozu escaping at the end, and then just throwing in some giant Mooger battle. And then they take the footage from later on and just explain that this Nylok that just disappeared has just all of a sudden come back. And they have to fight and they do Super Samurai mode. That was just lame. Definitely shows how stupid the Super season was in general. I really just wanted to bring that up. That was lame. What did you guys think of these two episodes?
Go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, I liked them definitely. I actually remember these episodes very fondly when I was first watching Shinkenger. When I first watched it all those years ago. These two episodes stuck out very fondly because, like, especially with more development between Takeru and Juuzou'S rivalry, alongside with just how far the team is willing to go to, like help out Takeru and their relationship and their bond and stuff like that.
Okay. What about you, Riz?
I greatly enjoyed this for two big reasons. The first big one is I liked getting more footage of Genta using his electronic Mojikaru. It's hard
Mojikara.
to
Yeah.
Mojikaru, yeah. It's nice to see more footage of him using it because it's always been a fascination to me that he took this thing and he made his own way of producing it without having to memorize all these symbols and stuff. And it's just fascinating to think about that he literally created the thing they needed from his mind without knowing the symbology as well as the other five do.
That's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
It's really cool he did that. I mean, so Genta always struck me as like this goofy, crazy, not serious Sentai Ranger, but he also is wildly incredible when you really look at him beyond his silly goofiness. And this is one example of where he really shined, in my opinion. The other thing, I mentioned two things in this episode. Like Anthony mentioned, the devotion that the four had for their lord, that they were trying to fight getting out of bed to go find him, and coming to the sad realization that they can't until they're better. It was a nice feeling, seeing that. And I mean, it was cool seeing Juuzou and Takeru like building the rivalry, but I want to see more of it before I'm like really, really drawn into it.
Yeah.
Because it's a great reveal. The entire Juuzou backstory is a great reveal, but it needs time to fester now that it's out there. If that makes sense, like
Yeah.
we need to see it develop more.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What do you
but
guys think of the super mode?
uh, I mean, it makes sense that only one person can use it at a time. I like the cape. Capes are always cool.
Yeah.
I actually didn't. I don't think I really realized that this is part of Sentai until I watched it. I assumed it was something that America did.
Oh.
No, definitely not.
So it was nice to see that this is part of Sentai and not just something that America made up.
I'm cool with it. It's not overkill like some other power-up modes.
Yeah,
Pretty
I mean,
subtle.
it's a cool way to utilize their origami to unify stuff.
Mhm.
So I like that. Overall, solid two-parter. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Sweet. What did you want to give commentary on Super Mode, Anthony?
I definitely loved it. One of like the things I like about it the most is that like it's pretty simple. It's not like anything like too crazy outlandish. It's simple and it's intricate, and I just love the like. I actually own the figure itself of him as Shinken Red, super form. So I had the figure. So it's
Sweet.
yeah.
Okay, so a brief thing before we. Anybody else have anything to say?
No.
Okay. A brief thing before we move on to the next act. At least according to the Ranger Wiki, between these two episodes, we have the Shinkenger movie, The Fateful War. Not there's not. I didn't watch it. But I do know what happens. It's mostly just the Shinkengers having to battle against a different type of ghetto shoe. This one
Yeah.
guy, and they use they're called Kisare ghetto shoe. I think Kisare means rotten in
Yep.
Japanese. And like every Sentai movie that was coming out at this point, we get the introduction of a new mech, which in Shinkenger's case also introduces a power-up mode. We're not going to talk about that just yet, though, because we're actually going to get a revelation of what that mech is in an actual episode that we watch. So let's not spoil that for anyone. Um, so yeah. Point is that the Shinkengers technically have a new mech and a new power up mode after this episode as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And for the record, it's a tradition in Sentai. The I think the earliest I can remember is Ava Ranger, at least, where there would be a movie and there would be a mech that's exclusive to that movie, and they're not really special. It's mostly just like take the mold of a mech toy and just give it a new coat of paint, and then just give it like some very minor superficial features. I think for Power Rangers audiences, I think the one that people might remember is, I think it was called Bright Star. It appeared in one episode of Mystic Force. It was this unicorn Zord. Yeah. That was the movie mech for Maji Ranger. It's basically just take the Korag's horse sword, but paint it white and give it a horn, and then voila, you got a new mech. So because they want to save money, that's the main reason. um, but anyway, let's move on to the next episodes. We get another two-parter. Act 25 is called The Dream World. This episode starts off about as hilarious as you can imagine. Where, so first off, Takeru has told the Shinkengers about how Juzo wants to battle him, and how when they meet again, they're going to have to battle. Ryunosuke and Chiaki don't want him to fight. Mako prepares to make food, and the Kuro couple have medicine on standby in case everyone gets sick. That's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they do this joke in Samurai? Like, Samurai, they overdo the Mia can't cook, get it? And yet, this one joke that they do in this episode is funnier than anything they did with that gag.
Because they don't try because Neo Saban is hot garbage.
Yeah. So meanwhile, on the Sanzu River, Dayu is gets in trouble with Dokoku because she was told to kill Juzo in the previous episode. but she didn't, and Dokuku destroys her shamisen, which causes her to become terrified, and she flees. Mako encounters Dayu while she's out buying cookbooks, and they run into another ghetto shoe, which puts people to sleep. This ghetto shoe in particular has his own dream world where he puts people to sleep and creates misery by having them see their dreams only for their dreams to come crashing down. So, in the middle of the battle, Ginta is put to sleep. Mako and Kotoha chase Dayu, only for both of them to be put to sleep as well. Kotoha goes chasing after Mako, but she doesn't get put to sleep. Takeru uses his Mojikara to allow Ryunosuke and Chiaki to enter, but he can't enter himself because he's weakened. So while Ryu and Chiaki are fighting against the Ghetto Shu in Ginta's little dream, where his dream is that his sushi is loved all around the world. In Mako's dream world, we see flashbacks of Dayu's past. Basically, Dayu's past is that she was a woman who was in love with a man that didn't love her back. And while the man was celebrating his engagement to another woman, because she was crazy, set his house on fire and tried to kill everyone in there, including herself. And when the man still wouldn't love her, even when he was about to die, she became corrupted, and that is how she became Dayu, and her shamisen was formed from his ribcage. Because, this is a kid's show, so that makes perfect sense. That this was not done in Power Rangers, by the way.
Talk about your fatal attraction, huh?
Mm-hmm. Ryu and Chiaki expel the Ghetto Shu from the dream world. Takeru, and the episode ends on quite a few cliffhangers. Ryu and Chiaki are still fighting the Ghetto Shu. Takeru and Genta have to fight off a group of giant Nanashi with the Dakai Shinkeno and Ikatinku Buster. And the episode ends with Kotoha getting injured protecting Mako, Ryu and Chiaki still battling against the Ghetto Shu, and Juuzou shows up to challenge Takeru to a battle. That then leads us to the next part, decisive match number 1, where pretty much Mako takes Kotoha to safety. Mako was, curious to see if Dayu could be turned back into a human, but of course that's not going to happen. Ryo and Chiaki drive off the Ghetto Shu, and sure, a group of Nanashis interfere. Juuzou agrees to give Takeru another day to rest, and challenges him to a fight at the beach, threatening to kill people if he doesn't go through with it. Takeru agrees, and even though Ryunosuke insists that he shouldn't, he eventually agrees. And pretty much the way that the rest of this episode plays out is that the other Shinkengers battle against the Ghetto Shu. Ryunosuke uses the Inromaru to transform into Super Shinken Blue for the first time. They defeat the Ghetto Shu, and Takeru and Juuzou get into their one-on-one fight, which is a really awesome fight, by the way. Although I don't think it's quite on par with any battle that Marvelous and Bosco had. I mean, at least not yet. And it ends with Takeru intentionally taking a blow, like he intentionally gets stabbed so that he can get in close, and he breaks Juuzou's Uramasa sword in half, and then slashes him and sends him flying off the edge of a cliff. The episode ends with Takeru being congratulated, Genta makes some special sushi, Mako prepares to study how to cook, and yeah, that's how this episode ends. Pretty neat 2-parter. You guys want to give your commentary on that?
You're damn right. No fight has come close to Marvelous and Bosco. Dang it. since I made that comment, I'll go first, Anthony.
That's fine.
Okay. So I'll be really quick about this one. The fight was really cool. Obviously not on terms of what I just said, but it was still a good fight. However, the single most important part of this two-parter was that final exchange between Ryunosuke and Takeru prior to the fight, where he's trying to stop him from going to the fight. In this case, heavy development for Ryu here, because normally he's a, oh my god, the Lord said this, I must follow. Oh my god, the Lord did this, I must do what the Lord did. But here, you're seeing for one of the first times him defying his Lord and trying to, protect him and tell him what's better than what he thinks he knows for himself. So, really good development here in that Ryu's finally becoming his own man and not just blindly following some lord because of some feudal contract they have.
Yeah.
And I pass it off to Anthony.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. Like I said, the fight was actually really good, and especially like the stuff with Dayu, like the fact that this woman is just insane. It's like, wow, like you can just find nobody else, lady. Like my God, like.
Yeah, they really had to do a lot of for those that may not have seen Power Ranger Samurai. Since we have both of the backstories revealed now, we could just say it. They kind of mixed the backstories between Dayu and Juzo in Samurai to where they were both lovers, and then
They were married. They were married, I think.
Yeah, they were married, and then he almost got killed in a fire, and then she kind of sold his soul to become a Nylok, and then she had to sell her soul too. I mean, it's more sympathetic, but I think these backstories are a bit darker.
Yeah, and it kind of like really like if they explain like like Dayu and freaking Decker were like, I guess from the very 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 distant past as to why shouldn't then she just if this was like I could see for instance like this was like, oh, these characters are from like a distant past where like the technology wasn't really advanced, or like, oh, why didn't she get somebody to help her, or like something, you know what I'm saying? Like she could have had other options, but I guess for Samurai they had just come up with something. So I can't really. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and just say they just couldn't at the time because it was ancient times, or they just couldn't have time to get help or anything. I don't know. Maybe they were like in the woods somewhere where nobody was there.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I also like the fact that the dream sequence and stuff is actually pretty funny too. That was pretty amazing. Like especially the whole thing with Chicken Green just grows to like a giant and he just kicks the freaking boulder and like knocks Rinosuke too. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Okay, well, next up, I don't know if we could call these next two episodes a two-parter. They're both fillers, but the events of the episode we're going to cover next do kind of play a part in the episode that comes after. So I guess it's kind of a two-parter.
It's a two-parter.
Okay. And the people who are listening can just decide for themselves too. So, Act 27, called Switch Lives, we get a Chiaki-centric episode. So we get a Ghetto Shu. His name is Abe Konbi, who has the ability to switch human bodies with objects. So, like in one case, he like switches the body of like a human with with let's say like a lamp. So the human soul is in the lamp, and then their body is just going to be standing still like a lamp. So pretty much something like that. Um, when the Shinkengers go to fight, they get turned in. Takeru, Ryunosuke, Mako, and Genta all get turned into. All get fall victim to the spell. Now Genta falls victim early in the episode. I don't even think he actually transforms into Shinken Gold in this episode. Genta gets put into a piece of sushi, which causes him to wrap up into a ball. Takeru switches bodies with a cat piggy bank. Mako gets switched with a fan, and Ryunosuke gets switched with a statue of a naked boy peeing, which you can't do that in Power Rangers now, can you? Um, uh, that's hilarious, by the way. That's a really funny joke. I'm not gonna lie, because Ryunosuke unzips his pants to do something, and then Kotoha is like ah, and then she has to look away, and then they have to put him in the bathroom for the rest of the episode. It's hilarious.
One quick note here before we go too much further. It's not super relevant here, but it is good to kind of mention it. The cat statue that you mentioned that Takeru turns into is actually, I think it's the mannequin Neko, which is a common Japanese figurine, which is often believed to bring good luck to the owner.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I see it a lot at like restaurants and stuff. So it's a pretty common thing.
Okay. And pretty much the rest of the episode is just Chiaki and Kotoha trying to figure out how to work together to defeat the Ghetto Shoe, and they end up using a pretty clever scheme where they force the Ghetto Shoe to switch bodies with Chiaki, and thus force him to reveal how to reverse the spell, and they do. It should be noted, these are the events that play into the next episode. Genta's body is at risk. So, whenever the object that the person's soul has been placed in is destroyed, that person dies. So, Genta is at risk because the sushi that he's trapped in could go bad, and he later gets cornered by a cat. The cat almost eats him, but luckily he gets put back just before he gets eaten. Kotoha and Chiaki defeat Abekombi together. Genta is still traumatized from what happened at the end of the episode, and a big thing is that at the very end of this episode, we get this mysterious Ghetto Shoe that appears in the Sanzu River, one that we haven't seen before. You want to give since you guys want to give commentary on this brief episode briefly, or do you want me to continue with the next one?
Let's talk here real quick and we can move on, because while it's a two-parter, they're not super related at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I really want to mention here is the continued development of Chiaki and Kotoha, and their teamwork in this episode was phenomenal to me. So
Yeah.
everything else is fine. Like, haha, okay, he's a cat. Haha, they took a photo of Takeru with the whiskers because Chiaki's a kid and he drew whiskers on the Lord, because why the heck not? You know, it's all good fun, but the thing that really struck out was the really cool development of Chiaki and Kotoha. Like, they were kind of uncertain of their abilities because they're the youngest of the group. So I think that was my favorite part of it.
Mm-hmm. Anthony?
Oh yeah, definitely. This was an alright episode. I don't have much to say about it. Really, it's just it was just decent.
Okay. Well, that moves on to the next episode where we get the debut of a new companion for the Shinkengers. This episode is called The Lantern Samurai. So as the episode begins, we find that Ginta is still traumatized. So he's developed a fear of sushi because he almost died while he was in sushi. So he can't use his sushi changer because it's themed after sushi, which means that he can't be Shinken Gold, and he wants to retire, basically. The other Shinkengers try to help him overcome this fear. Both Mako and Kotoha try to eat food that they hate. And by the way, Kotoha, you don't like to eat natto. I understand why. My girlfriend loves that. I relate with you, Kotoha. That food smells terrible. You have a very good point. So I relate with you there. I can't remember what Mako was afraid to eat, but yeah, that was just funny.
What exactly is that dish? I'm not familiar.
It's like some beans that is like wrapped like with like some sticky stuff. It's like like it's frozen together. It's a type of bean. It's not really called natto.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure what Mako was trying to eat was a type of vegetable, but I can't remember. Takeru has a fear of haunted houses, which I think they established that in a previous episode because there was like a flashback of G taking him to a haunted house as a kid, and he got so scared that he peed himself. So it's kind of funny to see him get freaked out over that. Pretty much nothing works, so Genta decides that since he's going to leave the Shinkengers, he's going to create a new ally. He tries to use his Mochikara to create a new ally out of the paper lantern that's hanging on his sushi cart. All sushi carts a lot of restaurants in Japanese culture tend to have paper lanterns, to like help be light and like drive off evil spirits. We meet the mysterious ghetto shoe from before. He introduces himself to Dokoku and Shitari. His name is Akumaro. He pledges to help Dokoku defeat the Shinkengers. He's basically the monster of the day here. Although, he's not a monster of the day because he's still going to be a general. And pretty much the climax of the episode is that Akumaru is battling against the Rangers, and he's easily defeating them. He's able to create a monster out of paper called a Kirigami, which grows giant, which forces the Rangers to get split up. G helps Genta overcome his fear of sushi by literally shoving a piece of sushi into his mouth, because I guess that works. And Genta overcomes his fear of sushi and becomes Shinken Gold. But he completes his project and is able to turn his paper lantern into a paper lantern-like mech. A mini mech, not like a huge giant mech. This mech has artificial intelligence, so he can float around and talk. And his name is Daigoyo. He's able to wield Daigoyo in battle. Daigoyo has a catchphrase, Goyo, Goyo, which is funny. He also has this new sword, and Genta uses his new weapon to fight off Akumaru and force him to retreat. And then he's able to enlarge Daigoyo and combine him with the sword to form just a giant form. It's not really given a typical an official formation name. They defeat Akumaru's Kirigami, and the episode ends. It ends on a pretty bit of a funny note because apparently Gento reveals that he themed Daigoyo after these firefighters. I can't remember what they were called, but they were like police officers and firefighters that would shout out Goyo de during the Edo era. And Ryunosuke points out how they're not samurai, and that makes and Genta's like, eh. So that's pretty funny. And that's how this episode ends. So, what did you guys think about this?
You want to go first, Riz, or me?
Go for it, man. It's all you.
Oh, I like this episode. It was actually pretty good. And like to go back to the episode previous, I actually did like the episode where like Chiaki and like Kotaha were able to like bond and like actually be able to fight off a Gadoshu by themselves. That was really interesting. With this episode, I really like the dynamic between like them fighting against the new enemy and then the debut of another new ally for the Shinkengers. Because Akamaru is like one of the most entertaining villains I've ever seen in this Sentai. Because like he's very charismatic. He is not a talker, and he actually will show off and actually will beat you in a battle. Like he's not all talk; he's action too. Like especially like that he essentially just toying with them at that point. Like he could easily have just killed them right then and there, but he chose not to. He's like, I kind of want to see what y'all do later on, so I'm just gonna keep y'all alive for now. And the fact that like, if it wasn't for the fact that Dokuku had like injured him earlier, I was thinking he probably would have taken out Genta too.
Yeah. Riz, your thoughts?
I enjoyed this. I think the coolest part was seeing once again Genta using his Motocicada in a very unique way and actually creating a new companion for the Senkenzers in their fight against the Gendosu. So to me, that was the coolest part. I'm glad at the end he just stuffs a piece of sushi down the dude's mouth so that he gets over his sushi phobia. Overall, pretty good episode. It was a bit of filler, but it was a good filler in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
All right. Next up, we get another filler episode called the Runaway Lantern. I'll cut this episode. I'll make it short and sweet. The Shinkengers are battling against a Ghetto Shoe that can clone himself, which makes things difficult. Genta and Daigoyo get into a fight because Daigoyo was constantly criticizing Genta's sushi making. Daigoyo runs away and applies to a bunch of different jobs, which of course he's not able to get because he's a flying paper lantern, and who's going to hire a flying paper lantern? Mako tries to make him feel better, but of course he just rejects them. Then they find Daigoyo working at a fried chicken stand where, Genta and Daigoyo make up in a scene where you don't know whether you're supposed to be laughing or crying. Not helped by the music that's playing in that scene. The Shinkengers battle against the monster again after Genta and Daigoyo make up. We get to see Super Shinken Pink for the first time. Mako uses Super Shinken Pink in this episode. And they defeat the Ghetto Shoe, and Genta and Daigoyo continue their little father-son relationship. The only thing I'm going to say about this episode is I'm just going to again repeat that scene where Genta and Daigoyo are making up. It's like, am I supposed to laugh or cry? And I'm doing both because it's both hilarious and emotional at the same time. I don't know what else to say.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You guys want to add anything?
Can I just say that like Mako's actress is very talented. Like to be able to get that much emotion while just hugging an inanimate object. Well, I know it's not an inanimate object in the show, but in reality, she's literally hugging like a prop. But she managed to make it so compelling to you get the emotion behind it. That's what I like about the show and these actors. Like they know how to express their emotions so perfectly in the show. It's brilliant, and it was a nice little filler. It was nothing too story driven, but I still enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Riz?
I greatly enjoyed seeing Daigo Yu for the most part. He's really funny as a character, honestly.
Mm-hmm. He might be my favorite robotic assistant character. Some of the other ones, I think he's better than Navi from
Most
from
definitely.
Gokaiger.
Yeah.
Better than maybe Bomper from Goanger. Would you say, Anthony?
I would say yeah.
Yeah, I think Bomper was cute. She was fine, but I don't know. Daigoya was just funny.
Right.
Like, and there's going to be other scenes like I don't know. Okay, there's one scene that he does in like the in-game story arc with him and Gint. Well, first of all, what makes him hilarious is how he and Ginto work off each other. Like, and there's this one scene in like the final 5 episodes that just makes me laugh all the time. I can't spoil it because I don't want Riz to um, be spoiled for that. But yeah, he's awesome. I love Daigoyo. Did you guys want to add anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm good too. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we got a filler episode, Act 30, The Manipulated Academy, where Ryunosuke and Kotoha work undercover at a private school. Ryunosuke is posing as a student teacher, and Kotoha is a new student. Since the students were shown to be acting strangely during a ghetto shoe attack, most of the episode revolves around Ryunosuke and Kotoha trying to discover who's behind um, the ghetto shoe controlling them, while the other 4 Shinkengers are basically just in the background. They eventually discover that there is a ghetto shoe that's basically controlling the students and teachers there, but with strings mounted, like with these string-like bracelets. He's using that like a puppet show. But thankfully, they are able to force the ghetto shoe to reveal himself, and they use some creativity to defeat the ghetto shoe when he tries to use the students to shield himself. Ryunosuke uses Super Shinken Blue for the first time, which I don't like. I think this would have been a perfect episode for Kotoha to use Super Shinken Yellow for the first time, but whatever. Um, and yeah, and that's pretty much it. I don't really. I This was just a standard filler. I don't really know what much more we could say about Act 30. What about you guys?
It was okay. I didn't really have strong feelings about this episode, really. I think one thing that I just found amusing, because I'm me, Ryunosuke randomly stalking people and accusing them of being the culprit when they're not was pretty funny. But beyond that, I have no other comments to make here.
Anthony?
Yeah, I honestly feel the same way.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have the episode that I mentioned before where we get the in-show debut of the Kyoryu Origami, an episode literally called the Kyoryu Origami. The Shinkengers battle against a ghetto shoe called Azi Medoru, who is a follower of the main villain from the Shinkenger movie. We actually get some flashbacks to that movie as well. He kidnaps a boy and his nurse in a trap to lure the Shinkengers underground so that he can kill them. But pretty much to kind of cut a long story short, that monster ends up taking Genta, the young boy, and his nurse hostage, but thankfully the Shinkengers are able to see through his plan. Daigoyo gives Takeru the Kyoryu disc again to allow him to access what is called hyper mode in Shinkenger. Hyper mode is, pardon me, hyper mode is pretty similar to super mode, except the cape and the coat is colored red instead of white, except for the shoulder pads. Those are still white. But more importantly, it transforms their Shinken Maru into the Kyoryu Maru, which is this extremely overpowered sword that has a stretchable blade that's more like a whip, which is awesome. So yeah, Takeru becomes Hyper Shinken Red. They defeat Azimedoru, and then when he enlarges, they show off the Kyoryu Origami. The Kyoryu Origami is basically a giant version of the Kyoryu Maru, and it combines with Shinkano to form Kyoryu Shinkano, and it destroys that monster. And then the episode ends with the Shinkenders going back to play a card game that Takeru was sucking at. Yeah, this episode is really just nothing more than to just kind of show off the Kyoryu Origami to people who missed the movie. At least that's what I got from this. What do you guys think?
Anthony first.
Let's see. I think this episode. I honestly, it makes me really just hate the fact that the Gedoshu are just hot garbage when it comes to children. So yeah, I definitely hated the fact that that poor woman was being used by like that and had to trick them into going into essentially we knew it was a trap, but they had no choice. They were because like she was not doing it for the kid.
You still there, Anthony?
I'm sorry. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Did you hear anything I said beforehand?
You said we heard everything except like the last two sentences, I think.
I think it was like I honestly didn't blame her for what for her tricking the Chickaders because they obviously knew it was a trap. So like she was just basically doing that for the kid, and I don't even blame her for that.
Yeah. Anything else?
Um, do like how the fact that they were able to outsmart this Gedoshu so well. It was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
You want to give your commentary, Riz?
Yeah, you ready for Riz's hot take part 2?
Sweet. Let's hear it.
So, like I mentioned earlier at Lord Butler, Takeru had become more fond of Kotoha, and they became like more friendly, and he became less self-centered, in my opinion. It continues here. He's showing consistency, which I've been looking for. He's engaging in playing a card game with his teammates, which okay, that's not a big deal really, but he proudly and gladly accepted the punishment that came with it, where they drew stuff on his face, and I mean, they did a little callback to the cat thing from a few episodes ago, where they drew cat whiskers on him, which I thought was kind of funny. But
Yeah.
like the Takeru from the first couple of episodes would never be caught dead playing cards with his teammates, much less letting them draw on him. He says it's frivolous, it's not worth our time. Let's go train to be samurai. So I think that's great progress for him.
That doesn't seem like a hot take. It seems like a pretty reasonable one. I can definitely.
No, it's a hot take because he's hot garbage and he's
Oh,
he's
okay.
he's
Oh my god.
okay. No. Hear me out. He's becoming hot garbage at being hot garbage.
Huh?
I no, I think I see what Riz is saying, but it's really hard to explain.
No, it's not. It's super simple. He's become hot garbage at being hot garbage.
So he's bad at being bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I guess. Okay, wait. You're gonna give us a headache if you use language like that, Riz.
Do you know me? That's my specialty.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, on to the next one.
What do you think of hyper mode, by the way, guys?
I mean, I like it. It's
Cool.
just a repaint of the super form, but it's
Yeah.
decent.
Yeah.
The sword itself is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
The
kind of want to see
Thorium
the movie to understand better. Like to see more of it.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of off-putting to see just out of nowhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, next is time to wrap up the episodes. We got a two-parter now, where a lot of things happen here. We're just going to go over the full story. It starts with Act 32, the Ushi origami. Ushi means cow or ox in Japanese. In this episode, the Shinkengers meet a boy named Hiro, who is sleeping in the Shiba house with the origami. Hiro is part of a family that lives in the mountain where the Ushi origami is kept. We find out from G that the Ushi origami was made kind of as a mistake. It's a big giant origami. It's a big giant cow with like a massive, cart behind it. And it was apparently so powerful that it couldn't be controlled. And so the previous Shinkenger sealed it away in the mountain as a forbidden origami, and Hiro's family has been guarding that seal. Hiro, however, is convinced that the Ushi origami wants to be free and fight with the Shinkengers, and he's created this disc supposedly that can control it, but Takeru isn't really buying it. Akumaru, meanwhile, releases a Gedoshu called Hapozu to locate the Ushi origami as he wants to use it for himself. The Shinkengers take Hiro back home to his grandfather. And while the Shinkengers, Hiro gets into a bit of a fight with his grandpa and runs away. And he goes to the cave where the Ushi origami is sealed, and after being taunted by Hapozo, he undoes the seal, and the Ushi origami gets released and starts rampaging through the city, and that's how. Not through the city, the forest. And that's how part one ends. Hiro is still trapped inside of the uncontrollable Ushi origami. And it also ends on a bit of a cliffhanger since Dayu is shown visiting the place where Juzo fell. Dayu has been wandering around these last couple of episodes. She's never been with the main villains anymore. She's basically been banished there. That then moves us to the second part, the Great Bull King. The Ushi origami disappears, and the Shinkengers are able to locate it using their other origami. Hiro's grandfather tries to convince Takeru to use a break disc to break Hiro away from the Ushi origami so that they can just destroy it for good. And it's revealed that Hiro's grandpa has so much resentment toward the Ushi origami because Hiro's father, so his son, also had the same passion to release and control it, but both he and his wife were killed. And Takeru doesn't want to do that because he claims that Hiro's passion to release the Ushi origami can't be broken. So he wants to just save. He wants to save Hiro, and pretty much help to Hiro achieve his own goal. There is a subplot that we briefly have where Akumaru approaches Dayu and offers to repair her shamisen in exchange for her help. And we find out that Juzo is still alive. He apparently survived that blow, and he's hiding in the beach. Dayu approaches him, and he is offered to also have his Uramasa repaired by Akumaru in exchange for their help. Those two then intervene in a battle between the Shinkengers and the Ghetto Shu while they're trying to save the Ushi Origami, during which they battle against pretty much all the Shinkengers except Takeru before they get driven off. Juzo is wielding the sword of an Nanashi for most of these episodes now, since his own sword is broken. Takeru and Hapuzo end up in the cockpit of the Ushi Origami, and while they're in the middle of a battle, Takeru's grandfather gives his grandson a disc that his father created, since he's taking Takeru to heart. Hiro is able to use the disc to finally get full control over the Ushi Origami just before it can enter the city and destroy it. Takeru expels Hapozu with Super Shinken Red, and then when Hapuzo enlarges, Takeru uses the new disc to take control of the Ushi Origami. And the Ushi Origami is awesome. It transforms into its own warrior mode called Mogyu Dio, and is able to destroy Hapuzo. And the episode ends with Takeru being given the disc from Hiro to fully control the Ushi Origami, and the Shinkengers bidding farewell. Riz, you said that this was probably one of your favorite episodes from the show so far, so how about you give your comments on this episode?
I was going to let Anthony go first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
Definitely like this two-parter with the new origami. Definitely love the fact that there's more origami out there that aren't that the Shingers are not fully aware of yet, and the fact that this kid, he's trying to prove to his grandpa, like, hey, like, this origami can be controlled, and like he has action. I'll give him that. So kudos to him. He was kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie to you. He was kind of annoying a little bit, but he grew on me a little bit.
He's only annoying because he believes so strongly in the Usu Origami, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that he's like annoying because of that. It's really more or less he has a way of like talk. He I swear, some kids in other places. This is lucky this is a TV show, because had this been, my family, my family like that, oh, I would have got my ass whooped.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to break this down into separate conversations because it deserves it. So the first thing I want to say is I love the lore we're building here for the Siba family. Seeing another family not part of the vassal system that protects the Lord, but is still in servitude to the Siba family, and they have this task in the mountains. And that to me is a pretty cool backstory about the family and how extensive this entire thing really is. Because I mean, if you really stop and think about it, you see the Siba family has at least 4 other families loyal to it. And you see that they've retained all these guys running around in black ninja gi who do their bidding. They do all the work of like surveillance and finding out what they're fighting next and giving locations where big bads are coming and all that stuff. But you start to really get the sense that we've really just begun to scratch the surface of how deep and well connected everything is, like the family with other resources. And I think that's pretty cool to like kind of start to see a little bit of that coming out. Because it implies that, yeah, this is an ancient family order, but they're not just some, you know, hermits living in a cave that come out and every now and then they check on the world, but they have like different people in there that have their own jobs and their own like things. You know what I mean? Like, what do y'all think?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that backstory alone made this my favorite two-parters so far in Shinkenger that I've seen. Um, remember I said at the beginning of this podcast that there's a line that Takeru said that really hit home for me?
Yeah.
Okay. The line that hit home was when the old man said, I don't know how to talk to lords, I don't know how to deal with them. And Takeru's like, bro, I don't care about the lord stuff. Just tell me what you know so I can learn about the origami. Like, he's actively telling people that, for generations have served his family that he doesn't care about the title, he doesn't care about the niceties. He's there to get the information and handle business. He doesn't care. Like, that's a huge step because in the beginning he did care. He cared greatly about, being the Lord. The responsibility is all on him. He can't accept that he has these retainers that are supposed to be there to help him. He can't. He can't accept that there are people out there that like him. He must be all woe is me, and I can't like do anything. So for him to outright say, "Forget all that. Talk to me like a human being," especially after he told that to Kotaha back at Lord Butler, dude, this is huge for him. Um, so it really sinks in Takeru's growth as a character, and you can kind of start to see the impact that the other five Shinkenzers in Z have on him.
I can see it too.
Like, I mean, it's a journey, right? Like, he literally was hot garbage. Like, he was at the beginning of the season one of the worst Rangers in my opinion. But now he's moving into okay, he's a cool character. He's still got a lot to do, I think, before I can say he's a great Red, but he's definitely very likable now. Like I like him. I don't dislike him anymore.
I wonder what Patrick would have to say about that.
Well, that's all I wanted Patrick here for the review.
Yeah. We need to
I
make sure
told
he's back on next time.
I told you yesterday I wanted Patrick here for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we'll surprise Patrick next week by me suddenly telling.
Yeah.
Um, aside from that, I mean, I didn't really care too much about all the backdoor politics of Dayu and Akamaru and all that. It didn't really do much for me. Like, okay, cool, it happened, but that's about it.
It'll play a big part in the episodes we review next time.
I know, but it's hard to. I think it's hard for me to care about these villains right now.
Yeah, the villains in this season are pretty boring so far.
Yeah, like. Sorry, I think we can move into character development here a little bit, Nathan, if you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
I kind of already covered my thoughts on Takeru, but just to talk about the villains real quick. They're super boring to the point where I barely remember who is who name-wise, and the only villain of note that I know by name and I know his face is Juuzou. Everyone else, they could literally not exist.
You didn't think Dayu was boring?
I'm not as interested in Dayu yet.
What? I was interested in her the moment like pop up on screen. That's just me though.
I mean,
I guess
but like, I mean, she does stuff, but it just it didn't excite me yet, if that makes sense. And
I'm
it's hard for me to tell if your excitement is because you've seen the entire thing already and you're kind of, you're able to make the big picture jump there, but I don't have that yet.
right.
So where I am right now, Dai's meh to me.
What about Akumaru,
Which one is he again?
the green one?
Also meh.
What?
Okay.
You know what, Chris, you're killing me, bro. You're killing me.
In Riz's defense, he hasn't seen what Akumaru actually wants to do yet, so.
All right, let me just calm down.
Look, look. You gotta take your wins here, Anthony. Take your wins. I said Takeru is not bad.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Like what I can get.
Yeah, well, we're talking about characters, so, okay. I don't think we should. I think we've covered Takeru as much as we can in all these episodes, so we don't really have to talk about him.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, we're done.
do we have any? Do we have anything new for Ryunosuke?
Um, I kind of mentioned it earlier, so I mean, I'll
Yeah.
read it real quick. That he's starting to grow a backbone when it comes to dealing with like, he doesn't just say yes, my lord, oh my god, my lord, yes, you're right, etc., etc. He's starting to grow a backbone in regards to how he handles Takeru.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Anthony?
Uh,
Like, do we like Ryunosuke here on the podcast?
I like him way better than I liked him when I first started getting into the show. But like now, I'm really grown to like him a little bit.
Okay.
Ryunosuke, I never disliked him. Honestly, like, yeah, he was annoying in the beginning, but that was his personality trait because that's how he had to be written because you needed to have one of the four be that, oh my god, the Lord this, the Lord that. You had to have that. If you didn't have a character like that, this would be ruined, in my opinion.
Yeah. Uh, do we want to say anything else about Mako?
The only thing of note about Mako to me was the Paper Lantern episodes where she made a connection with the Paper Lantern when he ran away.
Yeah.
It just reinforced her motherly feelings of like being that mother hen to the group.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I mean, she didn't really get a lot of time, you know.
I don't think she's had a.
I can't think of the last focus episode we've had of her.
Yeah, but to be honest, she's a character that doesn't really need any focus. I think she's just cool how she is.
Agreed. She definitely has the depth. I mean, I said it earlier. Mako and Kotoha are probably some of the best female Sentai Rangers that I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to have more focus on them because I think they're fascinating.
Did you want to say anything, Anthony, about Mako?
She's cute. Now let me stop.
Hey,
Okay, yeah, that is true.
She is honestly the heart of the team. Like
yeah,
she is, of course, the mother figure. She's always like, you know, they're just she's always there to be a shoulder to cry on when you're not feeling good. And she's actually done that before. That's her. That was actually a plot point in one of the episodes. So not early, not in these episodes, but like early on. Actually, no. In the episode with Dagoyo, that's the perfect example right there.
What about Chiaki?
I'm gonna go
Still
ahead,
good.
Anthony.
Still the best.
Okay, I'm gonna answer your question with a question. If you had to name a second in command for Takeru, would it be Chiaki or Ryunosuke in your opinion?
Well, there's literally an episode where Ryunosuke takes charge in this little saga when Takeru isn't there, so it would have to be Ryunosuke.
Correct, but also Chiaki's another strong second in command in that he doesn't take the crap from Takeru. He thinks of things in his own way, and whenever everyone else is kind of disposed of, Chiaki led Kotoha into battle to rescue their compatriots.
Yeah, but did he lead because he's a natural leader, or did he lead just because Ryunosuke and Mako weren't there?
I wouldn't put Mako above either one of them as a leader. Mako's Mako's definitely a leader in that she unifies everyone. She's a heart of the team, like Anthony said.
Mhm.
But she's not a leader in that Sarge, let's go to war kind of thing. She's there as like the let me make sure you're okay.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine, fair enough. Um, but what about Chiaki as a character in general? Like,
He's still pretty awesome.
who did you say was your favorite before this video, Riz?
I don't remember. Probably Chiaki.
Is he still your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't really have to talk about Kotoha. She's Kotoha. That's fine. That's all that she needs to be.
Yep.
Unless somebody else has a statement, unless somebody wants to disagree with that.
No.
Genta. What do we think of Genta so far? He didn't, because I still love Genta. He's a comic relief sixth ranger done correctly, and his relationship with Daigoyo was just making that even better.
The introduction of Daigoyo made Genta a much better character, I feel. Like, he was always a pretty cool character, but this made it even better.
Yeah, because the thing is that like he's a comic relief, but he has uses to the team. Because this is something like when it comes to comic relief rangers, okay, it's okay to have a comic relief ranger, but you have to have them be of some use to the team. Like this is the reason why I can't stand Dax from Operation Overdrive and think he's the worst ranger ever. Because like, what use does he have to the team? There's nothing that you can offer. Let's look at another comic relief ranger. Like, look at SPD. What does Bridge offer to the team? He's smart. His comic relief elements is that he's smart, but he's socially awkward.
Yep.
Yeah. He has knowledge of like fantasy related stuff, which works in a season like Mystic Force. What does Dax offer? Oh, he's a stuntman, so he knows how to fight. Stunt fighting is not the same as real fighting. He has no use to the team other than to just be a goofy guy because this is a TV show. You know, Genta has his use because he knows about Mojikara. He has his own little electronic, like tech genius stuff. This is why he's part of a team. Not just to be some goofy guy that a TV audience laughs at, but because he has practical uses for the team. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you guys want to add anything? Because like I don't like it when people just have a goofy character that's there for no other reason, just so that a TV audience can laugh at them. You have to have a reason why the character exists.
Exactly.
Genta, he's goofy, but he is such a great utility to the team. Like, he literally created a brand new device that can use this mystical ancient samurai stuff. And then he used that to make something that unified all the origami into this power-up mode that everyone can use now. Like, he's supremely important to the team.
Yep.
And like when I first met Genta, I didn't like him, but I've grown to like him a lot now.
Would you say he's better than Guy, Riz?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
So I guess that means that he's the best Sixth Ranger of the ones that you've seen all the way through.
Yeah, so far he is.
Can we say that, just while we're at it, like, okay, I know that you're gonna like Marvelous more than Takeru, and I think I can say with confidence that Joe was better than Ryunosuke. I think you would probably say that Chiaki is better than Doc.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Do you think the Shinken girls are better than the Gokai girls?
That's a tough one.
I'm not going to answer that without saying they're in the same league.
Yeah.
Kotoha versus Luca. I don't want to give myself a headache having that conversation. I'm not saying that.
So here's what I'm going to say about this. Mako and I-Him fill the same role for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
They're the unifying, character that kind of is the heart of the team when you really look at it. They're homely, they're kind, they're loving, they're supportive. And so they both fill the same need, in my opinion. So I can't say one's better than the other because they're both really fantastic. Now, Luca is very different from Kotoha. Luca is a bona fide badass. He don't take no crap. And she's a strong fighter. And she's renowned for this. Like, she's also really good at just being funny in a way, like she's an enjoyable character. But Kotoha brings something different than Luca, which is why I will not compare them, is that Kotoha just brings that feeling of kawaii and like cuteness and little sister kind of vibe, which plays in very well with Mako.
Yep.
What do y'all think?
I think they're both great characters. I think it's not really fair to compare them both.
You can't. I mean, it's why I said earlier that these two are among the top female Sentai Rangers I've seen. And I purposely didn't say who was number 1, 2, 3, and 4 because I can't. They just kind of shared that top tier good female ranger vibe. Just like you can't necessarily rank all the Reds as good or bad based off of criteria because Marvelous works because he's stoic and a badass, but somebody like Yamato also works because he's he's down to earth, he works hard, he's a good Red. I mean, he's just all around a good guy. It's the same kind of thing. You can't necessarily compare and say, well, Marvelous is better than Yamato or Yamato's better than Marvelous because they do things so differently that you can't fairly say one's better than the other, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is why I struggle sometimes with these Ranger things on the American side to say, here's my 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, because after a certain point, they all kind of blend together in my mind.
Yeah.
I can obviously say Andrews, Carter, and West are the top, but beyond that, they all kind of start to feel the same because they all have their own different traits and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think that wraps up the characters for now.
I think that wraps up this episode for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. Point is, to kind of recap everything that's happened with Shinkenger, we have a new villain, we have a new power-up mode, and we have quite a few new mechs. What will happen next? Well, you guys will have to catch us in the next video when we take a look at episodes 34 through 43 of Shinkenger. Hopefully Patrick will be able to join us for that one. We hope you guys have enjoyed this video as we return to our Journey of a Samurai. We have 2 more videos for Shinkenger before we wrap up this series. We hope you guys will join us for that. If you did enjoy this video, please give this video a like on YouTube and subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed. We appreciate everybody who listens to us on Spotify and iTunes. Please check us out at animesecrets.org and follow us on all of our social media pages, that being Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Once again, we thank you guys for joining us here, and we will see you guys next time when we continue our Shinkenger review. But until we return to our samurai journey, we are going to be, once again, taking a break from the journey. But until we begin again, we will see you guys next time. So, see you later.